it is this ring that is the ring of power from the Lord of the Rings.
My what's it is
Make friends
this
with that.
dagger that kind of.
My what's it are these sunglasses that are from a certain coalition. My what's it is this Titanic t-shirt that I got in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee.
My what's it is my chain necklace that my sister bought for me.
My what's it is my boots, and I love boots, and I need to wear on boots.
My what's it is my Destin shirt, which is from Florida.
My what's it is this bracelet that my sister got me.
My what's it is my bracelet that I made that says "You're gonna carry that weight" from my favorite TV show. My what's it is a pin that I accidentally kept from the flight that we did last year.
Okay, now wasn't that fun? Because when you said one more thing, all the people who were curious or even trying to be curious, there was more for us to say. Like I have so many questions for all of you. I want to ask questions. I want to understand what's going on, and I want to know things about your what's it. And because you told me something about yourself by saying just that one little tiny thing, or the way you said it, your nonverbals. Showed me if you were nervous up here, or if you thought it was fun being up here, or just whatever. And that's interesting. So using your easy peasy is a good thing. And speaking of easy peasies, if you were wondering, you are going to get points for your easy peasies. You can plan on about a couple of weeks. I will be taking up your easy peasy sheets. So make sure your name's on them for one, because you can't get points if you don't have names. And if you wrote down what it is, and then if you tried it, and then what happened after you tried it. You can use the back. If you want to write more information, that's fine with me. What happened when you tried this easy peasy? You can try it 10 times if you want to. You'll get points for every single time. I'm going to be giving you points for whether you wrote everything down, whether you tried it, whether you wrote down what happened, whether it's good or bad. If you're like, this one doesn't work for me because I don't like it, because it just keeps somebody talking and talking and I don't get to be part of the conversation. That's a very good response. That teaches you something about yourself and your communication style. So plan on a couple weeks, you're going to be turning in your easy peasy. So if you've got any that haven't been filled out yet, you have a couple of weeks, get it all done. Show up at church with your paper and be like, excuse me, do you have a minute? I need to ask me a question. I need to say one more thing. They'll be nice. Hopefully they'll be nice. If they're not nice, find somebody else. Okay. Now, you have handouts this week that have a pizza on them. Throughout this class, I want to not just give you ideas that you then have to come up with ideas to say conversations. I want to give you some actual script, because for some of us, knowing the actual words to say really helps. And so we can just, it's like when you're nervous, your brain goes blank usually, and all you can think about is nervous. You may not even be able to spell it at that point, but that's like all that's there. And so you're like, I know I should say something, but I got nothing. And so I'm giving you some actual words to say. So for starters, these are already in your handout. Things to say when you want to start a conversation. So say you're curious and you've got something to be curious about, but you can't walk up to somebody at a homeschool event and be like, so did you bring a what's it? That's not going to work, because they're going to be very confused and then they're going to feel uncomfortable around you. So you want to say something else. So, hey, do you have a minute? Now that can be, say you want to talk to an adult about something. Say you want to talk to a veteran and ask them questions about, the thing that's on their hat. And you say, hey, do you have a minute? And if they don't, they're like, no, I gotta go. Well, then you didn't cause any problems. For those of us who really don't like causing problems, and so we're hesitant to start conversations, this is a good one, because they can always say no, and it's not your fault. Can I ask you something? Most people say, sure. Depending on your tone and your verbals. Can I ask you something? I mean, like that's it. Can I ask you something? Are you going to give me the information, or shall I chop off your head? I'm so curious. What's that? What's your necklace? What's the story behind your necklace? I'm so curious. Did you come here with your family or by yourself? Blah, blah, blah. You can pretty much stick anything in there, but that's an intro. And it's also a good intro for like when you first meet someone and you're kind of trying to get their attention. There's a couple seconds there before they realize you're talking to them. So the I'm so curious kind of gives you time to establish, I'm so curious. Now she knows I want to know about her necklace, not about your non-existent necklace. So that gives you a couple of seconds. May I join you? This sounds so simple, but to me this is one of the hardest ones for me to do. When I was in high school, probably the most dreadful thing in the whole world would be to have to ask if I could sit at somebody's table. That's like enough to make me want to throw up. Because you don't want to be rejected, you don't want to be like, ooh, everybody wishes I would go away, but they'll be like, sure, whatever, you know. May I join you? It's a good question. May I join you? Or if you're talking to people younger than, I don't know, 50, you can say, can I join you? And they probably won't correct you. If you're talking to people over 70, expect them to correct you. It's may I join you, dear? And yes, you certainly may. But maybe not. Maybe they'll be nice. So, may I join you? But what happens if somebody says that to you? And you're like, your nonverbals made them uncomfortable. So you were uncomfortable, but now you've made them uncomfortable too. So what do you say if somebody says, may I join you, and you want to be nice? You're just like, okay. That doesn't make me feel good either. I'm like, did you have to really think about it a long time? Okay, so I'm going to give you some sample responses for when somebody says this thing. I mean, if they have the courage to say this, we should be nice to them. All right, the first one. How many blanks do you have?
2, 1, 1.
We're going to start at the bottom. The one with only one blank. Sure. This is the easiest one to remember. If you can't remember anything else, you just be like, sure. But say it with a pleasant tone so that you're communicating with your nonverbals. I am happy that you asked. That's the idea. You want to make them feel good about asking so that maybe they'll ask again some other time and not be like, what? I asked to go sit at this table and everybody was like, and I'm never asking again. I'm going to sit over there in the corner by myself for the rest of my life. Okay. Next one. Of course. If you are more of a friendly type, this is more of a good answer. So guys sometimes who are just verbal and they don't like to say a lot of things, they can say, sure. Just make sure you have a good tune. Sure. If you have to. Of course. And then the last one, which is my favorite. Please do. Now this one I learned in my 20s. I was overseas and there was a girl who shared my house. And I learned so much about relationships from her because she was comfortable with people and I was not. So she would invite people over to our house and I would be, well, there were like 3 of us girls that shared an apartment sort of thing. And I would be a nervous wreck before they came. And she wasn't. And I'm like, why are you okay? I'm so worried about what I'm going to say, what I'm not going to say, what I'm going to say wrong, and then I'm going to feel guilty about, and then yada yada. You know, there's just all these things to be worried about. And she's like, the house needs to be perfect, and the meal needs to be perfect, and everything needs to be perfect. And she said, I'm inviting them over to be with them, for us to spend time together. I'm not inviting them over to see my perfect house, or whatever she said. And I was just like, oh. And that really genuinely changed things for me, because when I thought about it, it was like, if I can invite people over to spend time with them and be with them, I can do that. But when you feel like everything has to be a certain way, now you're scared. And now you've, made these expectations that really shouldn't be there. But she was the one, she'd be in her room at night and we didn't have TV, didn't have internet, and whatever, and we weren't allowed to go out without a guy, and it was a segregated society, and it got dark at 5:30 when we weren't allowed to go out after dark without a guy. So, what are you supposed to do? I read like every book that I could find in English, and and I'm like, So she'd be in there doing something, and I wouldn't want to bother her, but I was bored out of my mind, and so I'd come and be like, hey, can I come in? She'd be like, please do. And her just saying that, I don't know how to explain it, but for a nervous person like me, it made all the difference in the world, because it made me feel like she wasn't annoyed, she wasn't mad, she wasn't secretly wishing I would go away. She actually enjoyed my company. And so it made me braver next time to ask if I could come in, and it made me braver with other people. So that's a really good, any of those are great as long as you have a positive tone, it's great. And the other thing on the side of your handout, we'll get to that in a minute because that's your easy peasy. All right. We are going to do a social experiment. I have never done this before. I'm not exactly sure how it's going to work out, but we're going to give it a shot. Okay. Put down all your stuff because you're going to be moving around. Actually, you know what? I'm sorry. My apology. Take it with you because you're going to be moving around. And you're going to stay there for the rest of the class. Okay. So I want to know if you are a feeler or a thinker. Now what that means is, are you naturally emotionally based or are you naturally mentally based? And what that, if you've ever done the right brain, left brain thing, that's what we're talking about. But basically kind of like, if I say, do you remember September 11th? Which you don't, because y'all weren't born yet. But as soon as somebody says that, today is September 11th, as soon as somebody says that, I'm there. I remember it. If you ask a thinker, they will remember it too. But our reactions to that exact same question are going to be very, very different. So if you ask my husband, who's a thinker, he's going to be like, yes, I remember it. And he will tell you information. I was here. This is what happened. This is information. Here's what happened here and here and here and here and here. And he can tell you all those things. And then after he's done with all the information, he might get around to how he felt about it. But maybe not, because that's a totally different part of his brain. I am a feeler. As soon as you say September 11th, I'm there. I'm not just remembering it, I'm feeling it all over again. I can tell you exactly how I felt, exactly what happened when I saw the towers fall. I watched the thing go down. I watched all those people die. We didn't know what was going to happen. Every 20 minutes we were finding about somebody else getting bombed and blown up and, planes crashing, and we didn't know what was going on. And so I'm all of a sudden there, and I have a hard time talking about it without crying, because it's like all these people and the firefighters, and I can tell you all this stuff, because it's like there's a spot in my brain, and I just went in there, and it's like it was that day all over again. So when I ask you about a memory, do you think about facts and information, or do you think of emotions? Here's another way to find out if you're a thinker or a feeler. If you are upset about something and stressed, maybe you would call it frustrated or angry or stressed. And I said, well, and you're like, this thing happened and it was so wrong. Okay, so you're out on the game thing and somebody cheated. And Pastor Chambers didn't catch it. And that whole team won because somebody cheated. And you were upset about it because you're not on the team that won. And I say, well, how do you feel about that? And you're like, well, and you start telling me all the things that happened, and you get to the end and you're like, I guess I'm frustrated, or something like that. But you have to think through all the information before you get to the emotion. Or if I say, what do you think about that? And you're like, boom, there you got it. What do I think? I think it was wrong. And I think that somebody should tell somebody. And I think that blah, blah, blah. You can tell me all the things you think. But you have to really think about it to figure out how you feel. Whereas if you're a feeler, and I say, well, what do you think about that? And you're like, well, I just told you. And I'm like, how do you feel about that? Well, you got words. I feel like, and you just go off. And there's all these feelings you have to pick from. So that's my question. Is your store more thinking, facts, information? So thinkers are going to be that way. Or is your store more feeling, emotions, colors, that sort of thing? All right, so if you are a feeler, I know Rebecca is. She's already grinning at me, which I already knew anyway. If you are a feeler, I want you to go sit on that side in that section of the building. If you are a thinker, I want you over there. So go. If you aren't sure, just guess. It's okay. Feelers over there, thinkers over there. Ooh. This is so interesting. I'm going to take your pictures. This is more for my records, for my social experiment. Not to be used against you, ever. All right. Thinkers, give me a point at your brain or something, so I know which one this is. Okay. Thinkers are usually more direct, by the way, because they're not feeling the way the other person might feel if they say something. They're just like, this is information. Here you go. All right, feelers. Give me a heart. Okay. Now, among you thinkers and feelers, there are more aspects to who you are, of course. So let's see what else we got to figure out. Do you make quick decisions or slow decisions? What does that mean? Okay. So, for example, you have to decide, we're going to go out to this thing, and we're going to get ice cream too. Do you want to get ice cream before, or do you want to get ice cream after? Are you like, boom, I had that within 2 seconds? Or are you like, well, what are we going to do at the thing? Is it going to be like a roller coaster and I'm going to feel sick, so I'm not going to want to eat ice cream afterwards? Or is it going to be like one of those things that if we go ice cream first, it's going to take too long and then we won't have as much time? Those are our slow decision people because they want all the information. The quick decision people, they don't need all the information because they're going with their gut. So, give me a hand raise, and again, if you can't figure it out, just kind of guess. Maybe it's like 55% more than 45%. Who are my slow decision makers? on information. There is a big difference, and when you're trying to communicate with people, that's important. Because if they're going on instinct, and you're like, wait, we can't do this, wait. Can you imagine if your soldiers on the battlefield, and it's like, there's the enemy, and one of you's trying to make a plan, and the other one's halfway across the field, because they were like, there's the enemy, let's go, you're like, ah! So what are you supposed to do? So people might actually die because of your different communication skills because you didn't communicate. Are we gonna go? Are we gonna stay? That's very simple. Okay, one more question. Are you people-oriented or task-oriented? Now what this means is when you have something that has to get accomplished, is your focus more on the thing that has to get done, or is your focus more on the people who are doing the thing? So for example, we're gonna have a party, we're gonna plan a party for all the people in homeschool fellowship. And so this is what needs to get done. Boom. And so if I'm a task-oriented person, I care about getting this stuff done. So I'm like, you do this, and you do this, and you do this, and you do this. Okay, let's go. Boom. Whereas if you're a people-oriented person, you might be like, well, so-and-so would be happier if they did it this way. And oh, they really like so-and-so, so let's put them together to do this together. And along the way, let's make sure that we're doing what everybody wants to do. And let's make sure that this party is, let's play the games that everybody likes the most. Whereas the task person is already done with 5 things by the time you've finished asking all the people what they want to do. But the people-oriented people are checking with the people all the time. Are the people okay? Do the people have what they need? Task-oriented person is checking with the task all the time. Is it getting done? Are you doing what you're doing? Do I need to get you something else so you can do what you're doing? Their goal is to get it done. The other one, the goal is to make sure the people are all okay. So, if you think, a people-oriented person, give me a hand raise. Ooh, task? We got a lot of task-oriented people around here. We could get some stuff done, y'all. Okay, that's very, very interesting to me because today, this is one of my favorite things in the world to study. We are going to learn about personality types. All right. Basically, smarter people than I have brought all the personality types in the world into 4 categories. And what you need to know right from the start, this does not define you, and you're not stuck in a box if you're in a category. It's basically more like certain general characteristics that describe a certain general type of people. So it's a little bit like the animal kingdom. If you say fish, well, there are millions of different kinds of fish, and they act different, and they look different, and all that kind of stuff, but they all fit these certain characteristics, as in they live in the water. So just because you fit a certain characteristic box doesn't mean that everything in the box has to apply to you and all that stuff. So don't worry about that. We're talking generalities, not like exacts. But, so I want to try something. I want to figure out, it's game day, which it is. That's why you're here. I want to see if you are one of 4 types. If there was game day out there, and suddenly Pastor Chambers just keeled over because it was too hot, and they just took him inside, and all the adults went inside with him, and there you are. How many of you are going to be like, well, it's game day, let's make something happen, and you start organizing the people, and you start putting things here, and this is what we're going to do, and blah, blah, blah. You're the type of person who takes charge, and you're okay with it, and your siblings probably frequently call you bossy. I'm seeing some of y'all know. Okay. That's one type. So, we'll think of you as type red. Think of yourselves as red, whoever you are. Alright, next one is you're standing out there doing nothing. The bossy person is over there bossing people around, and you're like, well, why don't we try this? You got this brand new idea, and you think it would be fun, and let's get everybody together, and that would be really fun, and it'd be fun to do something new. How many of you are that person? You're creative, you like to do new things, you like to have fun. Who cares if it's organized? We'll just start having fun. That'll be great. So you are yellow. Okay, so we got the red people organizing, we got the yellow people having fun. Alright, then we have the precise people, our information people. So you do get organized, you start playing the game. While the information people are looking at the fun people and like, wait a minute, if we're gonna play that game, here are the rules to play that game. And they're like, no, we're just having fun. You're like, no, last time we played it, we had to play it this way, and you like rules, you want to make sure everything is done right. And so he's like, and by the way, has anybody checked on Pastor Chambers? You know, you're over there having fun. You're like, wait a minute. If you are an information person and a detail person and a precision person, let's do it right. You are a, oh dear, I lost my colors. Green, thank you. You're a green. So we got red, yellow, green. And then the last type is the type that's sometimes hardest to figure themselves out because they are often doing what everybody else is doing. You're the one who's laid back, you're chill, you aren't compelled to take charge, you aren't compelled to make everybody have fun, you're fine. And if the take charge people start something, you're fine with that. And if the fun people take charge of something, you're fine with that. You're usually the easygoing one, you want peace. And so you're the one who's like, okay, take charge person and fun person, why don't y'all talk together and be happy with each other? So you're the one who wants peace the most, and you're okay with kind of doing what other people want. That is validity. All right, does everybody understand? Okay, so here's what I want. If you think you are, now if you're totally not sure, just sort of stay put, because we're going to get a little bit more detailed and you'll get some more information. But that probably means you're an information person. But if you think you're a red, you're going to be over there. If you think you are a fun-loving yellow, I want you on this half of this section right here. If you think you are a give me the information, do it right green, I want you on this side. And if you are whatever everybody else wants to do, you're a blue over there. So go find where you think you are. Okay, so this is my line. Are you a red? Squirrel.
Mom, I thought you said red was the other side, yellow was that half of this.
See, yellow's supposed to be over here. Oh,
See,
squirrel.
this is why I'm agreeing.
See? She's agreeing. Information. Thank you. You're just gonna stand up. I'm here. I don't know. Okay. All right. Now I'm gonna give you some more information, and this might change your opinion of where you are, or it might cement it. You'd be like, see, that's me. Let's try. Okay. On the way home today, after you guys play big ball volleyball, which sounds a lot of fun, and you're all in the van or the car or whatever it is, and your mom says, "How was the game?" Okay, here's the question. My red people want to talk about who won. Did they win or not? That's what you care about. Who won? What was the end result? My yellow people want to talk about if it was fun or not. My green people want to talk about whether everything went by the rules and was correct or not. And my blue people are probably like, it was nice. And then they'll listen to everybody else ramble and ramble and ramble. So for example, you're in the van, everybody gets in the van, you're done with the day, and your mom's like, how was the game? And you're like, we won, yeah, we're so awesome, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, it was so much fun, and I talked to so-and-so, and we did this, and we sang a song, and y'all are like, well, it was okay, but there was this one point when so-and-so over there wasn't doing what they were supposed to do, and that's why so-and-so did this, and they tripped and fell, and if they had just done the right thing, blah, blah. And y'all are like, it was nice. Okay, does anybody need to move?
Where's the in-between? Right here?
No, oh, that's right. You're probably two, just so you know, but which is the one you are most? This is fun. This is win or not. This is did they do it right or not. And this is whatever makes you happy. Do me a favor, scoot over one, Andrew, because your head's right in the video. Okay, last one to kind of help you figure out. Don't worry, we're going to get way more detailed into this, so it's okay if you're wrong and you change your mind 2 weeks from now. This is just to get a general idea. When you get home, your mother says, tomorrow we are spring cleaning. And after you all groan, tomorrow you get up in the morning, you have 17 things that have to get done. Your mom wrote a list, and she's like, oh wait, I forgot this one cleaner. You guys start, I'll be back in an hour. Okay. The red team over here, small, which is good because if you're taking charge, you really don't want 10 people taking charge because then they fight with each other. Okay, the red team is like, let's do it fast and let's get it done. What is the fastest, most efficient? Let's get done and then we move on with our lives. That's their goal, get it done. The fun team, yellow, is like, let's make this fun. Let's turn the music on really loud and we'll dance while we're cleaning and then we'll stop and have ice cream to make it more enjoyable. I know, hope he's pointing at me because that's what I want to know. And then we've got our green team over here who is like, well, I'm going to get to y'all last. Our blue team over here is the one who, God bless y'all, they do the jobs that nobody else wants to do. So you're like, let's get the fastest one done first and get all those out of the way, and then we'll tackle the big ones. And y'all are like, I feel like cleaning the curtains, wee, And so you're doing that, and y'all are like, well, this is what's left, and so I guess I'll do it just to make everybody happy so that we don't have problems. Y'all are really nice. And then there's y'all. And about halfway into this, everybody's like, what's going on with the green people? Where are they? And they go over, and green people are on this one baseboard with a toothbrush, because they're like, there was this one spot, and it won't get up. And I tried this, and I tried this, and I tried this, and it won't get up. And we're like, what else have you done? Nothing. I've got to get this one spot. You're stuck on the details, and it has to be perfect, and it's very hard for you to let something go. So, anybody else need to move? Or are you all like, yep, here we are?
I'm the one getting the fan blades.
Okay, so now we're getting closer and closer. You are gonna find this week and next week, I love studying this so much because people are so interesting. You're gonna get clearer and clearer about who you are and who other people are and what that actually means. So, stay put where you are. And I have 5 minutes. I want to introduce to you the 4 personality types. Now, just so you know, usually people are a high on 2 and a low on 2. So it's not like there's going to be something over here that you never do that. That's not the point. It's more like what is your natural, instinctive, if you don't think about it, just like what you want to do just instantly. Without thinking about it, without curbing yourself, without your mother telling you what to do. It's like, this is who I am, sort of like, without any help. This is who God created me to be naturally. So I'm going to introduce it to you, and you can kind of try and figure out who am I most, who am I second, and then who's sort of like, yeah, that's not me. But you'll probably have 1 or 2 things down here that's not a big deal, because remember, there are 7 billion people in the world, and every one of them is unique. So it's not like these 4 things define, you got that. You got it. Okay. Generalities, y'all. Okay. Woo-hoo. I went the wrong way.
Yeah, you're going backwards.
I'm a feeler, y'all, not teachers. Okay. So, these people define it by animals. There's also the color, the red, the yellow, the green, and the blue. It fits the same thing. So we'll be doing one thing that has the colors and one thing that has the animals, so it's all the same. There's also these super old fancy terms, sanguine, chloric, melancholic, and phlegmatic. Say those 5 times fast. That also describes it, but we're talking about the same things here. To give you an overview, this is just a general overview, and then next week we are diving deep into this. So, your lions are our red people over here. Lions act like lions. Lions, woo. Allow me. Are the ones who create change. They're the ones like, this would be better if we did it this way. Let's do it this way. I'm going to take charge, and we're going to make this happen. They create the plans. We need them, because we need somebody to create the plans. So in the military, they're your generals, and they're the ones who are saying, we're going to go attack right now. And what they need, what makes them feel like they're accomplishing what they were made to accomplish, is when they have control of the situation and they are accomplishing something. Now, obviously, there are weaknesses to that, just like for a lion. A lot of people don't like lions, because they can be intimidating. And we'll get to that, too. Every single personality, we're just going to say this right here and right now. Look at Elvis. What? Show what country I'm from. Every single personality has strengths, and every single personality has weaknesses. So no deciding that yours is better and everybody else's is bad. We'll just say that right now. As long as God has it, God's the one who gave you your personality, and as long as it's given back to God and used for God, He will use it for good. Okay, the otters. I like otters. Otters are the fun people. They're the yellow people. They enjoy change. So the lion's like, we're going to change things. You're like, oh, goody, that'd be fun. And so they write this whole big plan, and you're like, la, 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 where's the pictures? That looks interesting. And they move on. They're not real good with details. They need fun. They like to get attention. So your fun people are your ones up on stage, your ones who are gathering everybody together to have a good time. Often the fun people are the ones telling the story that a lot of people are listening to, as opposed to just talking one-on-one. Your golden retrievers. Whew, that's your people over there. That's blue. So sorry y'all that you're sitting in the wrong place. I know I got it wrong. Our golden retrievers over there are the loyal ones. They're the nice ones, the comforting ones. They don't like change. They're good with things. Don't mess up my world too much. But if there is a plan, they'll adapt to it. They're like, okay, I can do that. And then we change the plan. Okay, I can do that too. They want peace and they want really meaningful, good relationships. So they will often give in just to keep the peace. And that's one of their weaknesses, is that sometimes they let people walk all over them because they're so nice. Okay. Then there's the green people. Y'all are more like the beavers. So the beavers are the ones who want everything to be just right, because if a beaver is not detail-oriented, everybody's gonna die because the water's gonna come and their dam's not gonna work and, blah, blah, blah. So when somebody changes things, they critique it. Is this a good change? Is this a bad change? What's all the information? They take the plan and they read every single word. And they analyze it. And they say, maybe we should change this one sentence. And the people over here, the auditors are already gone. And the people over here are upset because they want to be in control. And they're like, how dare you change my plan? And the people over there are like, it'll be fine. Okay. What they need is order. And they need space and time to be able to think through things. Don't rush them. So, if a otter marries a beaver, not in real life because that's weird, but in personalities, if an otter marries a beaver, they have to learn how to communicate with each other, because the beaver needs time. Hey, I've got an idea. Let's go here, and then we'll do this, and then we'll do this, and do this. And the beaver's like, there's a 72% chance of rain. I understand this because I'm married to one, and I'm like, you just killed it. He's like, well, we can do this and this and this. And after he thinks about it for 20 minutes and talks about all the things that might go wrong, then he's like, okay, we can go. And by then, I'm like, I'm so depressed now, I don't want to go anywhere. So, emotion-based. The red people are fine with control and, just look. All the slides, all the things we have to learn. It's going to be so great. Okay. My weird things on my. In the meantime, all right. So grab your folder. Yes, now you can look at my weird things on my screenshot. It'll change in 1 minute because I am a fun person and change is good. I like change. Okay, grab your folder, grab your pen. Grab your handouts. Take the side that has the pizza on it, which is literal versus figurative, by the way. It still won't change. I'm a little embarrassed. All right. Here's your easy peasy this week. On the easy peasy, what you're going to write is goal positive. But that's not very clear. What are we talking about? So on your easy peasy this week, goal positive. Goal is G-O-A-L. Positive is P-O-S-I-T-I-V-E. Goal positive. Now what does that mean? Once you've written it, go back to your handout, and you will see a sentence to the right in a box. And it says, what? Grace. Let's see. The box on the right. Yep.
People will not often remember exactly what you said or even how you said it, but they will very often remember.
Okay. This is an important thing. This will help you in your easy peasies. Because when you start a conversation, a lot of times we are totally hindered by, I don't know exactly what to say or exactly the right way to say it, and so I'm just paralyzed. Actually, y'all have the toughest time with, it's called perfection paralyzation. If you don't have the perfect words, you aren't going to say anything. So it's very hard to learn the language. Very often, you've probably done this. You've met a bunch of new people. You get in the van. If your mom said, oh, you met so-and-so, what do you think of them? You probably don't say, well, I said blah, 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 and then they said blah, 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 and then I said blah, 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 blah. You don't remember exactly what you said, usually, and you don't even remember exactly how you said it. So you probably couldn't be like, oh, their nonverbals were this, and my nonverbals were this, and then I did this with my hands, and I mean, unless you have a really good memory. What do you remember? You remember how you felt. So write down how they, so each line is a word. How, first line. They is the second line. how they felt.
Okay.
What you got?
Okay.
Around you. People will not often remember exactly what you said or even how you said it, but they will very often remember how they felt around you. Now, what does this mean? It means just jump in. Just start saying something. Don't just stand there uncomfortably. And even if you don't say it perfectly, and even if you don't say it right, have your goal to be that this other person feels positive. So in other words, because what happens is this: when you meet somebody and then you meet them again. Say you meet somebody and they were frustrated about something, and so first time you met them, they kind of gave you this mean look, and maybe they're not mean, but you got this weird vibe from them that like they were mad, and so you sort of talked, but the whole time they were looking off somewhere or checking their phone, and then they were finally like, I'm sorry, I gotta go. Now maybe there was something really important going on, but the next time you see them, your brain doesn't say, maybe there was something really important going on and I should see blah, 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 if they're different now. No, your brain immediately has this reaction, positive or negative. So when you look at that person, you're not like, ooh, I can't wait to talk to them again, because you did not feel positive around them. You look at them and you're like, ooh. And even if you don't remember why, you have this sort of emotional response, and it's like, I don't want to talk to them this time. So if your goal is make sure they feel positive, your tones are going to be positive, your nonverbals will be positive, your words are kind of like, well, I don't really know what to say, and I feel so uncomfortable, but I hope you have a nice day. Next time they see you, they'll probably be like, oh, it's them. Goal positive. They'll always remember how they felt around you. My time is up. Next week. Okay, flip it over. That's your homework this week. Whether you want points or not, do this one. This is a test because we're going to be spending a lot of time on your personality, so we need to know. So over this week, what you're going to do, here's your instructions. You read each one of the words. If you're like, that's not me, detail oriented. No, that's not me. Give it a 0. If you're like, well, sometimes, those of you who are like, well, I'm not really sure, you're like, give it a 1. If you're like, oh my word, that is so mean, give it a 2. It's real simple. And then at the very end, add up each column and figure out which one is the most, which one is the second, etc. And come back next week with your numbers. Those of you who are perfectionists, you're like, I'm not sure, it's like 72%. Just wing it, because we might be changing it over the weeks as you learn more things. That's okay. It's okay if you're not perfect right now because you just got started. This is not a test to fail. Okay? Any questions? And also remember where you are right now, and we'll see kind of next week if you're still thinking that that's where you are or not. You don't have to sit there next week though. All right, see you next week.